This is a story about Owen Hunt from Grey's Anatomy. Owen Hunt, originally from the military, he was in the military with his best friend, his sister, and his best girlfriend. Things went a little bit crazy. His sister disappeared, so he came back to Seattle Grace where he met Christina Yang and they fell in love. Short time into the relationship, a mysterious girl turned up who turned out to be his ex-fiancée, but she thought that she was still his fiancée because he didn't break up with her and didn't tell her that he was working at Seattle Grace, and she thought that he was still in the military. Big thing happened. Anyway, then Christina and Owen fell in love again because that ex-fiancée disappeared. Short time into that relationship again, Teddy Altman appeared. Teddy Altman appeared because Owen Hunt brought her there as a present to Christina Yang because she was a very good heart surgeon. Teddy Altman was a very good heart surgeon, and Christina Yang really wanted a very good heart surgeon to teach her, so it was her present from Owen. And found out that Teddy Altman was very much so in love with Owen Hunt, and so was he kind of a little bit, but he ultimately chose Christina Yang and they got married. Later in the relationship, Teddy Altman decided to marry a patient. She didn't originally plan on marrying the patient, but she married it for insurance fraud, basically. After this whole marriage debacle, she actually ended up falling in love with him, and his name was Henry. However, he had a disease and he died. To make matters worse, he died under the care of Christina Yang, and Owen knew about it and decided to keep it from Teddy while she was in surgery operating on someone else because that was the hospital protocol. Teddy Altman found out that Owen kept that information from her. She no longer wanted anything to do with Owen but wanted to be friends with Christina and help her with her education. Eventually, Teddy Altman left the hospital. The relationship between Owen and Christina continued. They were married, a whole thing happened, and then the bombshell. Christina Yang didn't want kids and Owen did. Obviously that's a dilemma because Christina obviously doesn't want kids and Owen does, and well, that's just not going to work, is it? So they broke up. After that, Owen fell in love with a girl named Emma, a surgeon, a very nice surgeon, but then he cheated on her with Christina Yang. After cheating on her with Christina Yang the next day, the new girlfriend Emma decided to tell Owen that she really wanted to have kids, and then all of a sudden, Owen didn't want kids.
I'm sorry, Owen doesn't want kids now?
So it turns out that Owen did want kids, but then fell in love with someone who did want kids, and then didn't want kids, and it just really didn't make any sense. So he ultimately broke up with Emma. Short time after that, him and Christina really never got back together, and Christina ended up moving to Sweden, or Switzerland, can't really remember which one it was, because her ex-nearly husband, so ex-fiancé, gifted her a hospital. So here we are, Owen single again, and comes into the picture Amelia Shepherd. Amelia Shepherd is Derek Shepherd's sister. Derek Shepherd's dead, in case you didn't know, which is really freaking sad. He fell in love with Amelia Shepherd and they got married. Except a short time into their marriage, Amelia Shepherd, she had a pregnancy scare. Now you would think this would be a really great thing because Owen really wanted kids and he was finally in love with someone and he married her and he wanted to have kids with her. But it turns out that Amelia Shepherd didn't want kids because she had some traumatic experience with a kid in the past. We'll go into that in other details. Now, Owen and Amelia are married and Amelia's just told Owen that she doesn't want kids, and Owen is freaking flipping out because he really wants kids and he's just done it again. He's just married a second woman who doesn't want kids. So, Amelia and Owen break up and Owen does the unthinkable and he flies all the way to Germany to see his Teddy Altman. Now, really, Teddy Altman hasn't really spoken to Owen since Henry died, and she was in the military with Owen at the start, and then she came, and then she was in love with Owen, and then Christina Yang married Owen, and it was just a huge thing, but now he's gone to Germany to see Teddy Altman.
They sleep together.
He then returns and he decides that he's going to foster a child because he really wants a child, so he decides to foster a child without Amelia. So Owen fosters a child who's got a mum who is 16 years old, Betty, and she is addicted to drugs. So Amelia, who is an ex-drug user, decides to take Betty under her wing. So now, Amelia has basically fostered Betty, and Owen has basically fostered Betty's child, Leo, and they're parenting together, and they kind of fall in love together, but not really. They're just living together and they're raising these kids. Essentially, they adopt Leo. They don't adopt Betty. Betty manages to go back to her family, which is a really happy story. So now, Owen and Amelia are basically co-parenting Leo, but they're not married. Somewhere between that, Teddy Altman came back into the picture. It's been a few months since Germany, and it turns out that she's pregnant with Owen's child. During this time, Amelia Shepherd falls in love with a new doctor named Link, and gets pregnant. Except one issue is that the time that she had sex with Link was about the time that she last had sex with Owen, so she doesn't know who the father is. Anyway, at this point in time, Amelia's really ready to have a baby, and she decides to keep the baby, but she doesn't know who the father is, and so Link and Owen are really torn because Owen's finally settled down. He's got Leo, he's got Allison, the baby, and he's got Teddy. But his ex-wife might be pregnant with his child. Luckily for him, the dilemma is solved because Amelia is actually pregnant with Link, which is really sweet, and they end up having a baby. And later down the track, Teddy and Owen decide to get married. The night before Teddy's marriage with Owen, she has sex with another doctor.
And Owen finds out via voicemail.
So then Owen calls off the wedding and he decides not to marry Teddy Altman, even though he cheated on Emma with Christina, and he cheated on Christina with someone else, and he's also a cheat. Because he's broken up with his soon-to-be wife, the mother of his baby, because she cheated on him, even though he once cheated on his wife and his girlfriend and everyone else that he's been with. That's basically the story of Owen. I know it's very confusing. It's very confusing for me as well, but I've watched every season of Grey's Anatomy at least 10 times and I'm still confused. If that helped you out in understanding the complexities of Owen Hunt.